Following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Hello and welcome to Body Garage with me, Sheila Chelangat, on this episode where we focus on the importance of wellness checks. And as you know, here on Body Garage, your health matters. And oftentimes, wellness checks are one thing that are often underestimated. Its importance really overlooked by you and I. And so on this episode, we do have Dr. D.Gikonyo.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How have you been
Lovely.
since the last time we met?
Keeping on very, very well. Or trying to keep on very well.
Okay.
And succeeding.
And succeeding,
Yes.
importantly
Yes.
succeeding. Okay, Dr. Hari, let's begin with wellness checks. When someone says wellness checks, for some it doesn't really ring a bell. So what is it first, and then what is its importance?
You know, wellness, and I think we have done the right thing to discuss wellness on this garage talk. Because wellness is nothing more than taking our bodies to the garage.
Yes.
Just like you take your car once in a while, after a particular mileage, that you have it checked, you check your oil, check your brakes, check the wheels, the tires. You check all those things depending on the time that you have been on the road. The same thing about our bodies. Our bodies are simply other biological machines. They age, they wear out, and therefore they need regular servicing. Just like you service your car, that's where an annual checkup comes in.
That's where it comes in.
Yeah.
And then now, when I come in, what are the type of tests that you'll perform on me?
You know, just like your car, there's a service for so many kilometers and so many kilometers.
Yes.
There's a level at which you just change oil and check a few things. There's another level at which you change more things. So even us in our bodies, there are times in our lives that we require more checkup, more detailed investigations, depending on the mileage you have done in this world. For example, if you're a young person, age 10, 15, you can get by without any checkup. Oh yes. It's just like your car. The first year,
It's perfect.
it's perfect. You don't even have to worry about anything. You know it's going to be all right. But as aging sets in, then that's the time you start having the need for repairs. And therefore you must have more regulars. In fact, we cut off the age about 35, 40. Before the age of 35, 40, many people get by in good health because the bodies has not been pushed to the limit to start wearing out. And most of the illnesses that we get before the age of 35 are illnesses that are not, to a large extent, lifestyle related.
Yes.
But that statement must be modified because that's what you say in the past. But times are changing and we are aging much faster. Such that whereas you say that you can have these checkups at the age of 35, 40, you might start bringing them downwards to the 20s. Because our 20-year-olds now are aging too fast, mainly because of being overweight.
Oh, really?
And also because of other lifestyles of diet, drug use, and other, when I say drug, I mean things like cigarettes, alcohol, and other drugs. All those are coming up in a younger age group, such that the need to have the checkup now drifts downwards from the 40s to the 20s. Because at that level you have, it's just like your car.
Yes.
You can say you check it after 5 years, but you overdrive it the first 1 year, and you clear so many kilometers and mileage on it early, you need to have it checked. Our youth are, to a large extent, living on a high drive. They are eating unhealthy. They are failing to exercise. They are using drugs and other related chemicals. They are aging much faster. And therefore, that age, when you say annual checkup, drifts downwards to the 20s.
And you know, Doctor, we are talking about tests.
Yeah.
Some people hear tests and then they get scared. What type of test is it really? And is it a cause for worry?
You know, it's very interesting you say that because the reason that most people are afraid of going to have tests, as they say, what if they find something?
Yes.
You know, that's the irony of it, that you are worried to go and have a test just in case they find something. You should be happy that something has been found, because if it is found, it can be repaired, can be corrected, and you have not that issue anymore. You go back to your car, as an example. You go have it checked, they find the brakes are worn out. You're lucky you came early, because those brakes would have failed when you're going down the hill. When you go and have it checked, you find there's not enough oil. It saves the engine. So those things we are afraid of, that I don't want to go just in case something is found, is what should be driving us to the tests, so that something is found and corrected early. And the tests we do, again, depends on the mileage. There are tests we do for younger people, for older people. For example, below the age of 35, 40, when you go to have a checkup, it's pointless for a doctor, for a young man, to be checked on the prostate.
Okay.
Because the prostate is an aging process, and that we start doing 40, 45 ahead of years to come. So we tailor the tests depending on the age group, but also depending on the family history.
Okay.
When you go to see a doctor, the doctor will ask you many questions like, tell me about your mother, your father, are they still alive? Do they have diabetes? Have they had cancer? So that you have an idea of what to check. Because our bodies are just a reflection of our parents' bodies.
Okay.
What you have biologically is what you have inherited from your father and your mother. And these are the ones that guide us to know which are the more likely thing to be on your side, and therefore we check them early. For example, if your sister has had cancer of the breast, then that's the type of person who must have these annual mammograms and breast ultrasounds regularly, because that's lineage of family history. If your father had, say, heart attack at the age of 50, then you should start doing those heart tests much earlier in your 40s, because your lineage tells us you are the type of person that can get those problems.
Yes.
So we tailor them depending on the age. The tests, we tailor them depending on the age and depending on the family history and previous past history. For example, if you came 1 year and we found something, next year we'll target that one.
Are people coming out? How does it look like?
Well, human beings are the same all over the world.
Yeah.
And human beings are afraid of the truth. That's why they don't want to be told what they have. But over time, and we have seen it in our societies, people are becoming more accepting to tests. We are becoming more enlightened, and therefore people are more willing to do what the doctors say.
Okay. And what would then be your advice to someone who's hesitant to go for these checks?
Well, there's something funny about human beings. And I think it's all what our bodies are programmed to do. Once you hit adulthood and you have had a child, or 2 or 3, the body clock of life says you have finished your work. The main purpose we are in this world is to procreate. Just like a tree will germinate, bear fruit, and then dry. When you reach 40, 45, the body clock tells you you've done your bit.
Yes.
It's time to get off this world. And anything that now you allow nature to guide you from that age, nature will guide you to self-destruction. Because that's the program. You came here to have children, you're finished, you're occupying their space, nature tells you, move out. So to live up to 45 and 50, you must be deliberate. You must decide.
For me, then the next question would be, Does this wellness check aid in early detection of some diseases?
You know, for diseases, many diseases are what I would say predictable. That if I can see you and see your lifestyle, I know what you are likely to have. Anything that is predictable is by definition preventable. Because if I know it's going to happen, we can protect it. That's why it's very important to be able to predict things and therefore act early and prevent them. And that's the whole idea of these medical checkups. Can we detect something early and therefore prevent progression? Simple things like blood sugar, diabetes, or high blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure that is detected early and managed early, you will have no complications from that blood pressure. Same with diabetes. You have the sugar disease, diabetes mellitus, and it's detected early. And we know where you are, and then you take the necessary precautions and necessary treatment. You should have no complications from that diabetes completely. Because as long as your blood sugar, your blood pressure is controlled, the complications that come from that will not be there. And therefore, you should be normal to eternity because you have prevented what was going to come. That's why this idea of checkups becomes very important.
Yes.
Because even cancer of the breast, cancer of the prostate, cancer of the cervix, if they are detected early, then they can be, in quote, prevented from progression. If someone has a lump in the breast that's cancerous and you detect it early and have it resected, it's cured. Same with cancer of the prostate. If cancer of the prostate is detected early and either through either chemotherapy or radiotherapy or surgery is resected, then that area is closed and you can live forever because the disease that was there has been, as we say in English, nipped in the bud.
Yes.
It has been caught early, it has been cleared, and you have no risks. That's why you must keep on impressing on people. Please go and get a checkup. Don't be afraid that they'll find something. That's the more reason why you must go.
You must go.
So that if there's something that's there, you'll be found, something is done about it, and the bad consequences of that are controlled.
Okay. And then now there's someone who probably has a chronic condition. So them, they are always on medication. They're always visiting the hospital. Do they also need these checkups? And what role does it play for them now?
Say, for example, you already know you have diabetes or high blood pressure or something else. You must still go for your annual checkups because there are other conditions that can coexist or that can come. The fact that you have sugar or high blood pressure does not mean you cannot get cancer of the prostate or cancer of the colon, cancer of the stomach. All those things can come, or bad thyroid. All those things can come. You're not protected because you have one chronic condition. So this medical checkup is for everybody. Problem, of course, is affordability. That's the only problem.
Yes.
But some of the basic ones that we need are not that money consuming. For example, let's take blood pressure. Any person anywhere, a nurse, a clinical officer, someone who works in a hospital can check your blood pressure and detect high blood pressure early. It's a simple test of measuring. There's even no consumables. Checking blood sugar is a very simple little thing. Examining the breast, look for lumps, something very easy. There are other things, of course, that cost a little more. For example, if you want to know about the prostate in a man, that might involve doing a blood test, what we call the prostatic specific antigen. That might involve doing an ultrasound. So that's a little bit more money consuming. But the cost of these are not prohibitive, and therefore we should be able to reasonably afford them because they are not that expensive. And our job as medical providers, including government and government organizations, is to make sure that those early detective tests are affordable and people can be able to access them easily.
Right. Thank you for that, Daktari. We are up for our first commercial break. When we will be back, we will talk more about now this wellness checkup. So do not go too far. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. This is TV 47 and this is Body Garage. We are coming to you live from the Karen Hospital where we are with Dr. DR.Gikonyo. And before the break, we've just touched on the importance of wellness checks. Now, how should a patient prepare themselves as they know tomorrow I'm going to undergo a wellness check? How should I prepare myself for that?
First, welcome to Karen Hospital. It's always a privilege and a pleasure for us to have your people in our hospital and give us this privilege of talking to people and expressing and give them ideas on how to take care of themselves in good health. And as you know, this Christmas, New Year time, we must extend our cheer for New Year to all our people who are our friends,
Absolutely.
people who watch this program, people from my village in Ihide. They always like that when I say that. So the issue about wellness, as I said, it's good we are discussing it on this Body Garage because the hospitals are just garages for our bodies, and it's good that we have mechanics like us who take care of these bodies and pan a bit here and do that and the rest. People can now plan and say, this new year, I am going to have a wellness check. And then you plan and budget a little bit for it. There is no preparation except mental preparation to agree or to tell your body, tomorrow we are going for this test. So that you go there mentally.
So it's purely mental.
Yes, mental. Of course, there's, as I said, so is the fear that something can be found, but that's the purpose of the wellness check. So that if there's something that's not right, it will be found and can be corrected. So no preparation, just a little budget and a little mental preparation, prepared for whatever will come. Because of course, when you go to hospital and you are told you have a bad illness, it's a mood breaker. You really feel broken down. But that's the downside. The good side is, remember that this has been found now and something can be done.
And something can be done.
Yeah.
Once now one is on a visit for a checkup, how do I maximize, this opportunity that I have to with my medical personnel to ensure that I get maximum benefits from that checkup?
The most fundamental bit about medical exam and medical checkup is that you must be as open and as open as you can to your physician. Don't keep any information behind because you don't know which information will be useful. There are people who try to be nice. Do you smoke cigarettes? No. But you can see the guy smelling cigarettes.
Yes.
Do you take alcohol? No. Then the wife is there. No, he does.
Yes.
So just to be as open as possible to your medical provider so that you get maximum benefit from maximum information that you can give. Give as much information as you can so the medical provider can make the necessary decisions as what tests to be required. Not everybody requires the same type of tests. There are some who require different tests depending on their history, their age, their family history. So the answer here is simple. Be as truthful and as open to your medical provider as possible. And if you are going to see the doctor, I advise, if it's a man, please carry your wife with you.
Yes.
You remember things that you'd have forgotten. She'll correct you where you have forgotten a few things. Where you want to add a place, you'll be more open. The same with the wives. Carry your husbands with you for the medical. There's always something that you can add.
It's something that you can add. So then having a relationship with your medical provider actually is a plus for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And find a doctor that you are comfortable with, that you are open to. Don't just go to a facility because it's a facility. Because the important thing is not the facility, it's usually the person that you meet there. And of course, many facilities have people you can relate with.
Is there any type of lifestyle counseling that you give now a person on a wellness check?
There are things that we tell people, all people, because there are some universal rules about health. And one of those universal rules, of course, is healthy eating, exercise, and things to avoid. For all types of persons, young and old, no smoking. And to stress that, especially the young people, 0 cigarettes. Then for the alcohol, moderation. But you must walk. You must exercise. Because that's a message for everybody. Even before you come to any particular illness, whether it's cancer or tuberculosis or pneumonia or whatever, bottom line, healthy eating, exercise, and the regular checks.
Perhaps how much of exercise? When you say exercise, can we have hours? Maximum of what hours in a week?
You know, there's a lot of observation now that documented, because now people can document their physical activity day by day. There are watches and telephones, mobile phones that can measure the number of steps you do per day and give you an idea of what you should do. Now that we know that these are measurable, we recommend at least more than 5,000 steps per day on a daily basis. If you can do 7,500, all the better. But there are people who think that they do a lot of exercise, but you analyze them, they are doing 200-300 steps per day. But so on exercise, minimum 5,000 steps. And it doesn't have to be in a gym, because you're not training to be a gymnastic fellow. You're not trying to train to become a Bukayo Saka in a soccer field.
Yes.
You're just training or exercising to be healthy, and the body is just walking. If you can do other things, you can swim, you can sometimes jog, but again, too much jogging can be dangerous for the joints, especially if you're overweight. Walking, swimming are the easiest. And walking is free for everybody. You don't have to have any facility to go and walk. You don't need a uniform. You can even walk in your own house.
Yes.
I tell people who are afraid of going to the field, you wake up in the morning, if you are an hour before you go to wherever you're going for the next session, just walk in that room. Get up. You can talk on your phone as you're walking, walk around the sitting room, go to the bedroom, go to the kitchen, walk around. One day, walk for an hour. This is important for housewives who stay in the house. Apart, you may think you are working, but maybe you are working because you are seated, you are watching,
Yes.
you are washing clothes, or you are watching television, you are doing other things. Get on your feet. And in that house that you live in, just walk around that room, room to room, for an hour per day. If you walk for an hour at a speed of maybe 4 kilometers per hour, that 1 hour you have covered 4 kilometers. That's 4,000 to 5,000 steps. If you want to be more fitter, you can go to the field and do other things. But the baseline is just walking and simple things like swimming.
And swimming. What about someone who's at work? They're always behind a desktop.
Especially and I've seen it even in the current hospital where I work. I keep teasing the people at the reception, because you find a young lady like you comes and gets a job as a receptionist in a hotel, in a hospital like Karen or other places. Within a year, you see the weight increases. And it's unfortunate because the risk of the job, because if you are a receptionist and you are at the reception desk all the time, seated, you gain weight. So what we advise people is, even at your place of work, even if you are a receptionist, don't sit all the time. In fact, advise your employer to have a chest level desk or chest level reception area that you can stand and you serve people. So you can spend some of the time standing and not sitting all the time. And even where you are, if you are a receptionist or somebody on a desk job, walk around that little space of time. Standing and taking a few steps, whether it's back and forth, is good enough.
And you had brought up the issue of technology, and these days someone can even check their blood pressure
Oh, yes.
on the watches, smart watches. So, do I really need this wellness checks if technology has come in and is filling in that gap?
Well, technology is very useful, and I'm glad it has come because we cannot all have access to a doctor regularly. So if you have technology that can help you to check your blood pressure and even your blood sugar and even your heartbeat, it's very useful because you can do it on yourself. And where the world is going, we are going to a level where even self-checks for diseases will become much more associated with technology. I won't be surprised that we have in the future little X-ray machines that you can stand in front of and look at. You'll look inside you and tell you have a nodule in the lung. Those will come. So the more we have technology available and accessible to people, the better the world will be in health surveillance. Because as you say now, many people come to hospital because they'll tell you, I was jogging and I noticed my watch telling me that my heartbeat is irregular. When I checked my blood pressure in the morning, it was 165 by 100. Those gadgets that tell us that are very useful. And that trend towards technology telling us what to do in life is very useful. And I think the way the world is going, we shall be more health-oriented because we can check ourselves more. Because if you have high blood pressure and you have no access to a machine to check that, you'll get a stroke before you know. But in the current day and age, there are simple blood pressure machines you can use and check yourself at home, and even the heartbeat. So these are good. Unfortunately, they have been found sometimes they cause more panic and chaos to people who don't need to worry, because sometimes that gadget checking your heartbeat can misjudge.
Yes.
And then you panic, but that's okay because those are the fewer ones. Where we get benefits is more useful to us.
So it's time for us to embrace technology.
We must embrace technology, and technology is with us to stay, and we have to adjust. And we need to adjust in a way that is positive, because technology again can keep you from doing physical activity, which is sad. Because now with the ease of technology, you can get a border from your office to church, to here, to there. You don't have to walk. We might lose that ability to use our bodies by depending on these innovations of transport and other things.
Okay. Just before we head on to another break, in this profession, you've been in this career for very long. What are some of the misconceptions that you've had about wellness checkups?
One is that people have not, although we say they have embraced it, people have not embraced it adequately. And part of that is, unfortunately, brought on by the payers of those tests. For example, you find a company that is an insurance company that will pay for you to go and get radiotherapy for cancer or insulin for diabetes, but will not pay for you to go and get a medical checkup. And I tell them, by not funding those medical checkups, you are increasing your costs. You might think that by giving free medical checkups that you are reducing, by not giving people, your clients, access to that free medical checkup, you might think you are saving money as an insurance company or as an employer. In fact, you are losing, because these people will be detected to have those diseases much later, when you have to spend more to get them better. Whereas, had you been able to check them annually, and check their blood pressures and their blood sugars, check their prostates and such, you'll catch those diseases earlier and therefore prevent the higher cost of treatment. That's why I encourage all insurance companies, employers, and other people, please encourage regular medical checkup. Not just pay for diseases, pay for prevention.
Pay for prevention.
Yeah.
And even the last time we were here, you really mentioned that prevention is better than cure.
not better.
Uh-huh.
It's cheaper
It's cheaper.
than the cure. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are up for our second commercial break. Do not go too far, as we will be bringing you much more coming up. All right, thank you for staying with TV47 and Body Garage. We are delving into why it is important for you to take that wellness checkup. And of course, with me is Dr. DR.Gikonyo.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. Now, let's get to now genders. Are there specific tests that are done to, let's say, men, women, and let's also look at the ages? Are there specific tests for those?
Again, welcome to Karen Hospital.
Thank you.
Love you people. We love TV47, and we like associating with you in this way of giving information to the people on how they can take care of themselves and keep themselves healthy. Nothing better than for Christmas than a Christmas gift of a medical checkup to your people, to your staff, to your relatives, to your parents, and such other people.
And that is very unique,
Yes,
actually,
yes.
giving a medical checkup to your people as
Absolutely,
a Christmas gift.
Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. For men, but there's, by the way, the difference between men and women is not very big. The difference between peoples, by the way, is very small. Have you ever known that if you map out all the genes for all human beings in the world, the Chinese, the Americans, the Eskimos, the Luos, the Wakambas, map out all their genetic material, the whole world, and find out how different are they from one group to another. Have you ever wondered about that?
Yeah, enlighten me.
So how much do you think we vary, say, between you and a Chinese, between you and an Eskimo, between you and the other Kikuyu fellow? What is the genetic variation that makes us different? You might think 5%?
Maybe 10%.
The difference between all human beings in genetic material is 0.01.
Wow.
We are 99.9% the same. The variation that we talk about, that's why it's so funny, talk about tribes and races, it's meaningless. We vary from one person to another, 0.01%. 99.9% we are all the same. So when it comes to men and women, the tests that are different are very few. The ones that are common are more. That means whether it's a man or a woman, you need your blood pressure checked, you need your blood sugar checked, you check your cholesterol, you check how your liver is functioning, you need an ultrasound of your kidneys, you need an ultrasound of your thyroid. All those are common areas. The only difference will come is when it comes to the ovaries and the uterus. Because on breasts, we may think there's a difference, but don't forget men also do get cancer of the breast.
Yes.
Because they have breast tissue. So the only thing that are different now in women is when you want to do about the uterus and the ovaries and the minor hormonal differences that are there. So by and large, 99% of the tests that we do for wellness and for health are the same in men and women, except for those other minor areas. So when we talk about wellness, although we try to say for women, for those differences are so minor. Yeah, there's a general consensus that men and women require these tests. And then when we say that, we're talking about annual checkups, every year. And if you have an issue, you can repeat earlier. But let me talk about one area that people get very afraid about. Some you call endoscopy and colonoscopy. Endoscopy is looking at the stomach and the upper part of the intestines with a small tube that has a camera that you put through the mouth and you swallow it and look at the stomach and the duodenum. Colonoscopy, you put it from below and look at the large intestines. When you mention this to people, everybody gets the feeling that, oh my God, this is so terrible, I can't have it. You put something that, no, I'm not. And there's this tendency to be afraid of endoscopies and colonoscopies. Believe me, they are very simple tests. Done by an expert, there's minimal discomfort. And I won't repeat that. Endoscopy and colonoscopy, done by a person who knows what they're doing, minimal discomfort. Because we give some relaxation. It's not an anesthesia, but we give you sedation to relax you, so you don't feel too much of any discomfort. Remember that when you're doing an endoscopy, you're just putting a tube through the same channel that food goes through.
Yes.
The food goes through. The chunks of food that you swallow sometimes are wider in diameter than the tube you're swallowing. But the idea that the tube you get afraid. But let me reassure anybody watching that endoscopy and colonoscopy, done properly, have no discomfort. And I should encourage anybody over the age of 45, 50 to have those tests done. Because cancer of the stomach, cancer of the colon have become very common. And the only way to know them is to check it earlier with an endoscopy or a colonoscopy.
Are there different tests for these different age groups?
Absolutely. Let's give the cut of about 40. But below 40, we don't push for those endoscopies and colonoscopies. After the age of 40, every 5 to 10 years, even if you are feeling completely normal, please have an endoscopy and colonoscopy done. As I said earlier, again, question of cost, but it's a worthwhile investment. And because we have public facilities, we should also make sure that those public facilities, the government hospitals and other areas, can offer those tests at an affordable and accessible cost to the populations. So that's for elderly people. Again, if you are age of 45, 50 as a man, please get a prostate check every year. If you are that age group for women, make sure you get the breast ultrasound and a pap smear for the cervix. Yeah.
And what about the children? Because I feel like we're leaving out the children. Do they need?
Again, that is, just like a new car. Seriously, I mean, if you have a new car, there's no point of going to the garage tomorrow and you bought it yesterday. The same with our bodies. If you are young, the risk that you have some illnesses are less. However, there are tests we do for newborns. Because it's like even when you buy a car, it could have some factory fault. So it's very important, even that car, before you buy it from the factory, it's checked. Make sure that it has no factory faults. They didn't forget to put one tube, they didn't forget here. So there are examinations for newborns, which must be done. Every newborn child that's born in a facility that has access to everything must have the doctor listen to the heart. Because you can pick up heart disease in a newborn very early. Because you hear noises, we call them murmurs. You can also look at the color of the newborn. Some may be blue, the color, and that means they are not oxygenating blood very well. So heart disease in a newborn must be examined and looked for after birth. There are also some diseases of the eye, where you get some eye cancers that can occur in newborns. You must look for those eye tests to make sure you have no eye issues. And as also a newborn, up to the first year, you must establish if the child can hear, because sometimes you may miss hearing defects in children. And developmental things in children have to be picked early by the pediatricians because they can be missed. But that is routine, because anybody born in a hospital facility or medical facility must have those tests done to make sure that we are not missing some heart disease, some eye problems. Because there are some conditions of the heart which if you miss them the first 2 years, they are not correctable. No. There are some particular types of holes in the heart that can need to be repaired within 2 years of the child is born. And if you go beyond there and they detect when the kid is 10, 15, you are late. So it's very important for neonatologists, people who take care of small kids, to examine them thoroughly for diseases of the heart, diseases of the eyes, and also some developmental things that can pick up developmental issues early that can be corrected. That's for the newborn. For the school age group, again, we always insist that at school age, there are some things that you have to do. One, of course, again, listen to the heart, make sure that what was missed as a child may not be missed completely. And in some areas, then you look for infections. And of course, the commonest is tuberculosis, and those you can pick quite easily in medical. But when you talk about medical examination, most of the time we are talking about adults, because that's when the diseases now become more rampant. Young people, most of them, when they get sick, it's because they are running after disease with drugs and bad habits. But old people don't have to run after disease. Diseases will run after them. They have to keep running away from them by medical checkups and doing the right things.
And now adults normally have what we call mental health issues. Even it can occur in children. Do we have wellness checkups for mental evaluation?
Unfortunately, this has not been as established as it should be, because health is not only physical, there should also be that mental wellness. But by the time somebody goes for their medical checkup, physical, with a good physician or a good medical attendant, you'll be able to pick up those other areas from the history, because you have to ask somebody, how are you faring? How is your sleep? How is your appetite? How do you eat? And those things of mental health can come out just from talking to people, because a good clinician will pick out depression, anxiety, mental disturbance very early, especially in adolescence, because many of those issues of mental health do affect our children as they grow up, like schizophrenia, the disease of young people, and depression. And mental wellness has now become much more acceptable.
Yes.
Because in the old days, if you said you are going to see a psychiatrist, people hear, oh, you have seen Dr. Jenga, there's something wrong with you.
Yes.
No, that has changed, because not all mental illnesses are madness. There are many mental illnesses that are just lifestyle issues, relationships, depression, sleep disorders, eating disorders, and all those things. Yeah.
Okay. And after now the mental wellness checkup, what would you advise your patient to probably look out for? What do you tell them to do so that they can maintain good health?
One is, once you have a clinician that you attach yourself to, does not be a senior consultant at the current hospital. No. Even a nurse at your level, a clinical officer, a health provider at your level might be a point of reference. And get that person to advise you regularly on what to do. There's no harm also in reading, checking under Google and other things. You might get scared by overreading, but by and large you get an idea. But the access to care, we must make it affordable and available. In my view, the first priority that we should give to our populations is education. Education must be free and accessible to all people, to all levels. That should be a fundamental right. And if there's something we need to change in this country, is to make education free and accessible to all people. Coming New Year, I know the kids got good school, and many don't have enough school fees. Education. Next to that, of course, is health. And health should make it accessible to people. The important thing about education vis-a-vis health is that not all of us get sick. We are lucky. But all of us need education. So education is universal. Health is not universal. Some of us are lucky. We go through life without ever seeing a doctor, and we are still lucky more by chance than design. So it's important about health. But education is the most important gift you can give to a child.
And I know we've been talking about annual wellness checkups, but how often should I do that?
Absolutely. There is the one for newborns. Those are mandatory at birth. There's school entering age, that again you get another checkup and entering school. There's college entrance, that we also get our checkups with blood pressures and things. After that, after college, at the age of 35, 40, do it once a year. The basics: blood sugar, blood pressure, your weight, You'll be advised on diet and things. But for the big things like endoscopies, colonoscopies, those are 5-10 years. Yeah.
Okay, and perhaps what would be your message now to my viewer on parting shot on wellness checkups?
Make sure you get a medical checkup next year and make it regular to prevent what is predictable.
Okay, and they should try and gift their loved ones?
Oh yes. I mean, if you are Jewish, your parents, please, the gift you can give to your parents is a medical checkup. Yes.
Okay.
And the gift you can give to your neighbor is to help them to pay school fees.
All right, what a parting shot from Dr. DR.Gikonyo of the Karen Hospital as we delved into the importance of wellness checkups and why you should regularize visiting the hospital for just checkups, perhaps annually. And so with that, we have come to the close of this show. Thank you for watching and thank you for keeping TV47. Do have yourselves a lovely evening.